Right, shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Waharakah Kodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. This is Deuteronomy 33 and 29. It says, Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, a people saved by the Lord, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency. And thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. And that day shall soon arrive. All our enemies, right? These other nations, beginning with Amalek, right? Beginning with Edom, down to the rest of these heathen, they're going to all be found to be liars. And Vocab Malone is just one of them. Vocab Malone simply wants to perpetuate a comforting lie towards himself and his people. And that's why he vehemently and so passionately seeks to discredit and bring down the Hebrew Israelites, man, bring us down. But he's going to fail, right? You do not see him applying the same level of passion and vehemency towards these so-called Jews over there in the land of Israel who have maimed, killed, and raped for what the conservative Christian claims is the cause of Zionism. And as I'm going to show you, that whole Zionism was a smokescreen and a fraud. And the Israel not really state is not a spiritual thing at all. It's very secular. It's very secular. All right. The Most High didn't set that place up according to his righteous will. All right. That place is worldly. It's of the devil. It was set up by the devil, the wicked. All right. That's not the Lord's kingdom that's being established or reestablished or restored. Not at all. All right. Now, brother sent me over this clip of Vocab Malone. It seems that he's being shamed into finally speaking on what's happening over there in the Israeli state. Okay. And we know he's going to dodge the important questions, the important issues. He's going to tap dance. Let the tap dancing begin. Because as a Christian who believes in replacement theology, there is no justification for those people, according to the scriptures, to have gone back into that land and caused all this trouble and bloodshed. There's no justification according to replacement theology. But he's not going to deal with that because he don't want that kind of heat, and he's not sincere about even what he claims he believes in. He will only use replacement theology against us. What does that tell you?
Now, I also have a Bible study type program scheduled for tomorrow, but, and your comment reminds me of this from Texas there. I might do a program with
Hey, yo, Texas is down bad, man. I love y'all brothers from Texas, but yo, Texas is down bad.
a little bit of commentary on the stuff with Israel and all that tomorrow. So hold up before we post details about tomorrow's show, because we might switch it up a little bit, do something a little bit different there. That's what I'm thinking anyway. What do you guys think about that? You like that idea, tomorrow's program? Be in relationship to Israel, and I'll kind of just share and talk about it. A lot of what I'll probably say, I've already kind of got a game plan for this, will come from
He's gonna find a way to tap dance and, the status quo, okay? You don't want to upset nobody except us.
Al Mohler stuff from the briefing. I mentioned him before.
Yeah, a Zionist. A Christian Zionist, just like Charles Taylor Russell. Most of these top leading Christian leaders are puppets of the establishment, and they're all Christian Zionists. So they all support the Israeli state and justify them. And this is why the white Christian conservative is the number one supporter of the state of Israel. Even though, what do? They kill. They're using guns and bombs and killing people, and taking land from people that they have no right to. They have no God-given right.
And about doing that. And shout out to Angela coming in.
All right. Now, what I want to read is, well, I got this article, Is Replacement Theology Biblical? And according to these so-called Jews, replacement theology or supersessionism is actually anti-Semitic. And that's why vocab isn't going to mention replacement theology. Even though he believes in it, he won't mention it when it comes to the is not really state. He will avoid that whole subject. All right? Because he ain't bold enough to come against these guys. So you can research that yourself, what replacement theology and supersessionism is, and see what the relationship is with Zionism. And you would see that replacement theology is against Zionism, but these Christians that believe in replacement theology support Zionism. It's crazy, isn't it? But anyway, what I wanted to do is draw for this, what I found earlier today, because this is very enlightening, okay? So we're just going to read and get an understanding here about what really happened in 1948. So this is from Harvard University, okay? It said, did Israel's founders declare a secular state, okay? Was the state of Israel established as a spiritual state by the Most High, for the Most High? Or was it established as a secular state, meaning void of the Most High? Okay? It says, going by the usual telling of the founding, religious and secular Jews clashed over whether Israel's declaration should evoke God's covenantal promise. How accurate is that account? Okay? All right, so straight away there was confusion between the secular so-called Jews and the religious so-called Jews. And that fight still exists to this day. And you're telling me that that's the kingdom that the Lord is establishing? This is crazy. Let's get straight to the points. It says, if today's is not really's know one thing about the debate surrounding their country's Declaration of Independence, it can be summed up in two words. Tser Yisrael, which means the rock of Israel. The declaration ends with these words: placing our trust in the rock of Israel, we affix our signatures to this proclamation. The debate over the formula is famous, but because some of it took place in public, that is, at a meeting of the People's Council on May 14th, just hours before independence was declared. David Ben-Gurion, signing the Israeli Declaration of Independence, held by Moshe Sharet and Eleazar Kaplan, look on May 14, 1948, National Photo Collection of Israel. The usual telling of the story goes like this. At the council meeting, religious Jews clashed with secular Jews over whether to link their names to an explicit announcement of their trust in specifically God. What God? I don't know, because these men don't really worship Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, but God, right? So the argument went back and forth until David Ben-Gurion proposed that everyone sign while placing trust not in God, but in a substitute expression, Tser Yisrael, the rock of Israel. So these men, in their Declaration of Independence, did not even recognize the Most High. What a joke. Further debate ensued on the one hand, was not this formula itself just one of the fixed epithets of God, which is how it functions repeatedly in the Hebrew Bible? Or on the other hand, could it be seen simply as a euphemism for the rock-like inner strength of the people? Either way, it proves sufficiently vague that for separate reasons, both an Orthodox Jew and an atheistic communist could accept the phrase and sign. And so they did, thereby lending a sheen of consensus and unity. So it's a false unity, right? Which I already did a lesson to show you that when the Lord bring all the Israelites, not just the Jews, all the tribes back into the land, it's going to be in the unity of faith. They're going to be one people with one shepherd, one king, all worshiping Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And no atheism and none of this bullshit that these men are under. Yeah? And unity to the first jiu-jitsu match between religious and secular in the history of the state. So the story goes, but how and where did this ingenious formula crop up in the first place? And blah, 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 blah. Okay, you could go find this article and read it, okay? Who promised the land? Mordecai Baham, the Tel Aviv lawyer who prepared the declaration earliest draft, was affiliated with the legal department of the state to be born in Ukraine. The son of a lawyer, educated in law at the University of London and formerly employed by the British Mandate Administration. Baham was a totally secular man, unfamiliar with Jewish sources. 3 weeks before the end of the mandate, he received the assignment to come up with the draft. So a dude that don't believe in the Most High, don't believe in nothing, is who drafted their independence, man. And this is what these, oh boy. And went home perplexed where to start. Beham decided to consult his neighbor, Rabbi Harai, whatever. They were shits. Another sort of man altogether, having studied as a youth in Lithuanian yeshivas, whatever his name is, left for America with his parents in 1903. There he earned an undergraduate degree at the Columbia University and completed his studies, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So you can see what's happened here. They've basically come together to see how they can please everybody, all right? I just want to jump down because I ain't got time to read all this, but it is a good read. This is a PDF, but you could Google it. If you Google, did Israel's founders declare a second state? It's a Harvard, in fact, I'll see if I could put the link. Yeah, copy that in the description. But I want to jump down to key points, the conclusions here, because most of these men don't even believe the Most High exists, man. It's crazy. All right, where are we at? Religion finessed. Okay, and then I want to read the part before this as well, which should be rocky interpretations. Okay. What was the bit before this? Did I need to read this? It's a bit long-winded, because I don't really want to read the whole thing. That's why. But I just want to show you, like, what we're dealing with here. Like, it's known. This is a joke. Rocky interpretations. One of the things that made it possible for the believers to sign was the presence of these words at the very end. Placing our trust in the rock of Israel, we affix our signatures to this proclamation. This too can be precisely traced to the words of the American founders that Mordecai Baham copied out from the Declaration of Independence. So they copied it from Babylon, man. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. In translating the passage into Hebrew, as we have seen, Baham rendered the phrase divine providence as to Sir Israel. Whether or not this owed directly to Rabbi, whatever the hell that is, influence, or Yoram Shakar is convinced, the important point is that unlike the specific invocation of God's promise to Abraham, the mention of Tesser Yisrael survived the many redrafts and edits until it reached the very end of the process. So originally, the Declaration of Independence was going to contain the promise to Abraham. They removed it. Yo, this is crazy, man. They removed it, yeah, to please the atheists among them, which is the majority, really. Then and only then did it said where was I? The mention of Tessera Israel survived the many redrafts and edits until it reached the very end of the process. Then and only then did objections arise, and this time not from the religious believers, but from secularists and atheists. Their problem was simple. How could they be asked to sign a declaration professing trust in a God they knew didn't exist? Wouldn't that constitute a blatant example of religious coercion at the very birth of the state? So, the birth of this state, man, was totally rebellious and against even the idea of there being a Most High. There wasn't even a consensus that the Most High exists. And you're telling me that this is the restoration of the nation of Israel? The Lord restored Israel like this? I beg you, I beg. Yeah? The debate erupted on May 13th, the eve of the Declaration Day, in the last meeting of the People's Administration. Aharon Zesling of Mapam, the party to the left of Ben-Gurion, said he couldn't express his trust in something he disbelieved. It shouldn't be imposed on me, and thus, like me to proclaim that I believe, I asked for this passage to be deleted. Against this, the religiously observant members pushed back hard. The remarks of the blah 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 blah, who had headed the Jewish Agency Department of Immigration since 1934, and who would go on to serve as a minister in every Israeli cabinet until his death in 1970, are worth quoting at length. He said, I cannot imagine that in a historic document such as this, the heavenly name would go missing. You needn't be religious, but it's unthinkable not to mention the heavenly name when we stand to establish the Hebrew state, right? Which there was never no Hebrew state, man. This is all BS, right? I noticed they never use the word Israelite, do they? I'm ready to take a poll of all the Jewish heretics on earth to see if they think it's wrong. If someone can't sign the document as it is, then we are unable to sign it the way it's proposed by Zesling. It is difficult for us to reconcile ourselves to the omission of the God of Israel. Jews are being killed, so-called Jews, are being killed every day with "Hear, O Israel" on their lips. I would prefer God of Israel and not just Rock of Israel and its Redeemer. Actually, the phrase "and its Redeemer" was not present, but the compromise has already been struck. So they weren't even, they couldn't put God, nothing about God. They couldn't put nothing about no Redeemer. They weren't saved by, they weren't redeemed. The redemption of Israel is going to come through the Messiah. Where the Messiah at? This is all madness. And this just shows you it's a falsehood. Because they couldn't get it right. Rabbi Yehuda Fishman, who would become Israel's first minister of religion, chimed in, I haven't seen a single important declaration by the nations of the world where the name of God isn't mentioned except for the Soviet Union. Ben-Gurion now had a problem on his hand. Calculating rapidly, he decided that it was Zesling who would have to stand down. I am a person like Zesling, Ben-Gurion said, that is a skeptic when it comes to religion. And this is the first prime minister. Ben-Gurion was the first prime minister of the state of Israel. This Don wanted a secular state. He didn't really care about no religion. He just needed these dumb niggas to sign. So he was like, okay, we'll put something in there that might be, vaguely might be talking about something. The man, Ben-Gurion was a secularist, man. Okay? But I can sign this passage wholeheartedly. I understand what the Rock of Israel is, and the proposed compromise is a fair one of so-called Jewish friendship. As we stand on the brink of independence, we have to be careful not to sharpen disagreements. And they're still fighting to this day. You got Orthodox Jews, ultra-Orthodox Jews fighting against the rest of these. It's a joke over there, man. Shapiro, seeing where Ben-Gurion had come down, then pressed his advantage to argue for adding to the Rock of Israel the phrase "and its Redeemer," which, not least because the conjoined expression is a fixture in daily Jewish prayer, would make it even clearer that the reference was to God. But now Ben-Gurion pushed back the other way. In what is called a matter of conscience, he said, adding just detracts. When you say to Sir Israel, for you it says everything, but I have to be able to explain to my children who aren't religious why I signed this wholeheartedly and with a clear conscience. The issue seemed resolved, but it came up again the next day in the People's Council with the same protagonist. Again, Ben Gurion insisted that the draft be left alone. Each of us, according to the way and understanding, believes in Tisir whatever Israel as he understands it. There is no imposition of coercion. Here I express my own Jewish and human opinion. When we say we trust in Tisir Israel, I know that Tisir Israel and I trust it. I'm sure my colleagues on the right know perfectly well whom they trust, and I also know well whom my colleagues from the other side trust. I have a request that I am not be forced to put this passage to a vote. They didn't force him, and the passage went into the declaration as submitted. Final part, and I know it's a bit long-winded, but this should open your eyes to the madness of 1948. And anyone that's trying to say that that's a fulfillment of the Most High through the Messiah restoring and redeeming the nation of Israel, they're mad people. Yeah? Religion finessed. The question of religion then wasn't resolved by the Declaration of Independence. Rather, it was finessed. And Ben Gurion could finesse it largely because 5 Arab armies were about to invade the country. But if it would be a stretch to say that the declaration represented a consensus, it would be another stretch to say that it split the difference between secular and religious perspectives. Indeed, it is hard to describe the declaration in the balance as anything other than a secular document. So the declaration of the independence of the so-called state of Israel is a secular document, meaning of the world. Mad. Yeah? Hey, don't get mad at me. This is Harvard University. Its peculiar omissions and emphasis, especially in the latter stages of drafting, reflected the sensibilities of the secular drafters. Because they were secular duns, atheists and that. Yo, godless. Thus, the claim of the so-called Jews to the land is based on history and natural right and not divine promise. So that land of Israel, ultimately, the guys that set up weren't setting it up under the guise of divine promise. There was some guys that believed that, but that's not what it was set up under. They were just like, yo, we got there's some history here. We call ourselves the Jews, and there's some history there, so we might as well have it. Yo, this is a joke thing, man. We ain't going based on history and natural right. We going on divine right, man. The promise of Abraham, man. The hell is this all about? Thus, the claim of the Jews to the land is based on history and natural right, not on divine promise. Similarly, Judaism is conceived as something to the Jews invented themselves, and not during a mythic trek in the desert where God appeared to them, but in the land of Israel. Finally, the only promises worth anything, listen to this, the only promises worth anything in the present were made not by God, but by Lord Balfour and the United Nations. So who established the Israeli state? It was Lord Balfour and the United Nations. Yeah? As a result, the semantic struggle over Tisir Israel, such as it was claimed, down to the minimal concession that would be required in order to secure the signatures of the religious believers. In the end, Ben Gurion managed to put everyone's signature on the parchment just before the Sabbath came in. And that says a lot right there. That says a lot right there. So, that's why I only need to get one scripture. You see, that thing that they built over there, man, the Lord didn't build that in his righteousness, according to his righteous will. That's not the kingdom of heaven, man. That's not new and holy Jerusalem. That's a next thing, yeah? And it's gonna fail. It's gonna be consumed and destroyed, right? Psalms 127:1, except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Them man labored in, Ben Gurion and them man labored in vain. Yeah? Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. The Lord ain't keeping that city. He ain't keeping them cities. Them man are secular. Them man are godless. Heathens. And they're going to get what's coming to them by Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, man. So, with that, I'm going to say Shalom.